Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion here on the 4th of July. Happy birthday, US of A. So we honestly, I shouldn't say we don't do anything big, actually. We go to our friend Stace's house every single year. This is her thing, and she does this. And we usually don't stay for the fireworks, but the barbecue's great, and she does a phenomenal job with excellent food and just good friends, and it's just a ball. So anyway, my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I'm so elated to have this discussion today with you, although it may be short because my cheap Irish skin out here in the sun can't last super long. But you know what? I just want to talk about chosen family, and it doesn't take me long to talk about chosen family because it's coming straight from the heart. I didn't have to research it, although there was an article in the New York Times, I think it was today actually. I'm kind of talking about this a lot, but wow, it just supported what I already believed to be true, because we do this thing where, and birth family can be very, very important, or family of origin, family you're born into, say it however you want to say it. There can be a lot of emphasis on that, and if you were born into an awesome family, good for you, you know? And of course, there's no such thing as perfect. You know, it's kind of like Donald Winnicott in the 50s when he talked about the good enough mother. Now we'd say the good enough parent, right? But that was the 50s. And that children, grow up, happy and well adjusted if a parent is good enough. So if we think of that as a family as good enough, because there is no such thing as perfect. If you got the amount of love you needed, and there's speed bumps and glitches in there, but you mostly really had consistent love from one or two parents, or filled in with a grandparent or uncle, aunt, or whatever, good for you. That is not necessarily true for the rest of us, and for, gamut of reasons. And for me, the backstory here, and I say as I do the disclaimer, because at this point, I'm just explaining, sharing, because I hope to, make a difference out there. And so if it helps me to share my story and it makes a difference with one person, my work has hopefully made a difference. And it's just that channeling thing. So anyway, as you know, I grew up in a very turbulent household with a lot of addiction, both parents, a lot of addiction, extended addiction, a lot of narcissism, a lot of shame. I breathe shame like most people breathe oxygen, which is very prevalent in addicted homes, so it doesn't have to be that. So long story made short, was sticking with the chosen family. I didn't, of course, realize till later, when you're a kid, you're just surviving and living in the moment naturally and all that stuff, that I didn't realize I was choosing my family along the way. I just didn't even, because you're obviously dependent as a kid. You don't have any control, really. Good, healthy, loving parents will allow you some control. When in reality, they're obviously in the behind the scenes and, got a little leash on you, which is a good thing when you're little. But mostly you don't have control. So if you're born into, which you can't control, right? You can't control the family you're born into. You can't control the country you're born into, or the religion or the culture. You can't control your own birth order. You can't control any of it, right? And you can't control if you're born into a family where there's a lot of mental illness and addiction, and it just is how it is. So early on, I just started, spending a lot of time with, and there's a couple of advantages to growing up with alcoholic parents, I guess. They're not paying that much attention. So, I was at, my rooftop friend's house a lot, which is great. And there also aren't a lot of expectations, also a positive. So my now famous rooftop friend and her family definitely became, she still is my chosen family, will always be. And her mother was incredible to me, very, very good to me. And then along the way it just kept going. And then, getting to St. Mike's and choosing, my good friend, Dr. Dave, I talk a lot about, my dear friend, Zaf, who's my cross country coach, and all Father Mike and all my priest friends at St. Mike's, and they became my chosen family, but at that time, they had become my chosen family. They're still to this day my chosen family. My bestie Neela from St. Mike's, I just saw her yesterday, chosen family. And I created this. And along the way, though, I wasn't thinking of it that way until I got to be a seasoned grown up. And my husband actually very gently corrected me, because I kept saying, You know, I don't have a side. I don't have. He said, what are you talking about? You've got me. You've got the 5 kids. And they start rattling off everybody I just rattled off, including his family. This wonderful family I married into. My 2 brothers-in-law. They're like the brothers I didn't, or not like, they are the brothers I never had. And these wonderful parents of my husbands, you know. And it's just, the blessings are just amazing. And yet, for a long time, so not until recently, but I'm 57, so like relatively, like I don't know how many years ago, I really had to start to come into this to change my rhetoric, my internal rhetoric. And I think because we are so conditioned by society, often by religion, that, you know, and the whole honor their mother and father thing. I talked about this in one of my TED Talks, actually, that, you know, for me, once I got to a certain age or seasonedness or whatever, I'm like, no, hey, no, wait. You got to earn that honor. And again, I'm not judging people. I think, hopefully, do the best they can with what they've got and all that stuff, and people producing results and all that stuff. However, I grew up in a really toxic, sometimes actually hateful and violent household. So I'm not thinking I need to honor that. Yet I realized I wrestled with that kind of conditioned obligation that, you know, well, those people, friends, and actually Dr. Ramani, she's really good. If you've ever listened to her, she does a lot with narcissism. And she talks about one of the toxic parables that people in narcissistic families say. And the light bulb went on like huge, because I was listening to this. I'm like, oh my God, my mother said that so many times. Blood is thicker than water. And what does that mean? So what? Like, who cares? Blood, what does blood and water have to do with love? Nothing. And it's kind of like, also, I've had this talk with some people I know who are super into the genealogy and the, you know, all those websites. I don't know if it's family.com or ancestry.com is one of them. There's a whole bunch of them. And for how painful those can be. If that's your hobby, fine. I would probably suggest to be a little sensitive to those of us who don't even maybe know a side of their family, or maybe like you're completely adopted, or you're half adopted, or you had to bail early for whatever. Because here's the thing, and we're so pro-inclusivity, at least with the people I hang out with. Pro-inclusivity means across the boards with everyone, whatever their differences are. And I think it's so important to be sensitive to that, because in reality, when you go to your great reward, as my grandmother used to say, guess what? Your genetics stay here. They're in the ground, or they're blown around the wind. Those are the choices. That's it. Or I guess you could be in a tomb in Egypt, maybe. All right, but that's pretty much the ground. Like I said, they're raised. I don't know. But those are the choices. The genes stay here is the point. And so to really be sensitive to that, because it really doesn't matter. And for those of us whose families are chosen, that's just plain hurtful. And I've also, I think I mentioned a different video for a different reason, but our youngest daughter went to St. Lawrence University. I was so impressed. I was impressed by the graduation, impressed by the school all the way across everything. It's just a very impressive place, and she loved it there. But also the graduation was so impressive and just very cool and traditional and stuff. But I was impressed mostly by one thing. When they had, I think pretty much every graduation I've ever been to, ever, including the ones I was part of, would say, you know, for everybody involved or supporting the student who's graduating, stand up. And that's usually how they'd say it. There's nothing wrong with you saying everyone, great. St. Lawrence worded it this way: all families, and they put, I forget if they said of origin, I think they said of origin, all families of origin and chosen families. I could get choked up right here talking about it. I was like, finally, thank God, please stand up. So it was all of us together. Either you were born into, you chose, or it's a mix of that. Maybe, you know, your mom or dad and dad or somebody left, or who knows, but you're a mix of that. But chosen families, thank you, because my chosen families are just as much, my chosen family is as important as anybody else's born into family. That's it. They're my people. They're my tribe. So now I've got the husband, the five amazing adults, and also our new daughters-in-law, Selena and Jamie, and are also our two that we kind of took in by love, Anna and Peter. And we've got my whole husband's family, and like, that's all that I don't need my quote-unquote side. They didn't work out for me. You know, go with God, but they just didn't work out for me. And yay, chosen family. Also, I want to put this out there, because this is a whole nother level, which the New York Times talked about, when they brought up the LGBTQ community has been doing this forever, right? Because for various reasons of not being accepted, for different, who they are, not being accepted for who they are. And when I interviewed for my first book, I interviewed a gay couple. Oh, hang on, I got to get the goats. Okay, I'm back. Little goat crisis there. They are fine. Our daughter has her little pumpkin patch over here, a little mound of pumpkins, and they were dangerously close. So I wanted to rescue those because this happens frequently. I mean, we've learned to have it not happen so frequently, but it's still, they're Houdini. They get into everything. It's how it is. Okay, so anyway, so the LGBTQ community, I was thinking because we've got, I've had this conversation a lot because we've got gay family, gay chosen family, and gay friends. And I know from basically all of them that they've had to, handpick who's in their lives also much of the time. And so then when I was doing my first book, I interviewed this wonderful gay couple who we talked about having kids. And they went on to say how much it, and that this was also a very long time ago, so there were even more hoops to jump through, I think, than now. I'm sure it's still difficult, but this was like a couple decades ago. So what they had to go through to get accepted, to get a child, and all this stuff. And he's saying, think about it. And I'm relating from my own life because think about it, because everything they have to go through, they want that child. Truth adoption in general, I'm just sticking with what the New York Times was talking about too. They want that child so badly that child is going to be loved beyond imaginability, loved so much. And we think, and then, there's all this like ridiculous judgment around how we define families. It's just so stupid. It's just so stupid because when it comes down to it, it comes down to who's going to love you, support you, just want every cell of your being to rise and be the best self you can possibly be. And that's what matters. And that's who family really is. And so, okay, chosen family on this 4th of July, that's it. Embrace your chosen family. And if that's not you, embrace your friends who their whole family has been chosen, or much of it. And that's it. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.